if you think about the Converse and what it has become, the shoe itself has become a kind of like a cult type of a following. I mean, people, if they have one, they have 10 or 100.
Chuck Taylor, his signature's scribbled across more than 1 billion pair of tennis shoes in the world.
So the first time I was exposed to the Chuck Taylor, I would say that it really popped out to me. I'm a big fan of colored toe boxes because the rubber toe shell that the Converse has, it's really, you can see it.
So I remember when I was going to high school, they weren't in vogue then. They weren't necessarily the cool thing. They are very much in vogue now, but I remember getting my first pair in high school.
There was a time that I was working runway shows in New York, and one of the fashion designers was collaborating with an artist where they had the artist paint on plain white canvas Chuck Taylor. And so it was at that time that I even looked up Chuck Taylor. I mean, I knew the sneakers, I knew what they looked like, but I was excited to have a pair, and that's when I really grew to know what they were, and I do cherish my Chuck Taylor sneakers.
Indiana, a stretch of land situated south of the Great Lakes, its southern border carved out by the Wabash and Ohio rivers, sandwiched between the Buckeye State and the land of Lincoln. This land is Hoosier country. It's been coined the crossroads of America, yet it's more than a pit stop on the road to the final destination, or a flyover zone, or another generic lump to be grouped in the category of Middle America. When you really get to know the Hoosier State, you understand it's home to several things that make this nation great. Staples that make the Midwest mighty. Traditions that put Indiana on the map. Indiana is the home to the Indianapolis 500. Famous singers by the name of Mellencamp and the king of pop himself, Michael Jackson, were born here, as were Porter and Carmichael. The capital, Indianapolis, has continued to grow and welcome people from all around the world to its numerous events. In 2012, it hosted the 46th Super Bowl. But if you count all the years in the history books, and if you measure the weight of the impact this great state has made, and there's one thing to say that Hoosiers are known for, it's basketball. Because somewhere in the pages of history, these Hoosiers started their tradition when they took a break from their long work days, picked up a ball, and started shooting in their backyards. And it produced some of the game's greatest legends. Oscar Robertson, Tony Hinkle, John Wooden, and Larry the Bird. But within that conversation of men from Indiana who truly advanced the American game, there is often one man that is left out. In fact, most Hoosiers don't even know his legacy until you mention the name of the shoe that he made famous. The man behind them was born Charles Hollis Taylor. Most people don't know that he was born in 1901. Or that he was born in Azalea, Indiana, a small town right outside the limits of Columbus. Despite when he was born or where he was brought up, he became the man behind the most popular athletic shoe of all time.
I noticed in our community that a lot of people didn't know Chuck Taylor was from Columbus, or if they did know he was from Columbus, they knew almost nothing about him. So this is the man's name, Chuck Taylor. His signature's scribbled across more than 1 billion pair of tennis shoes in the world.
The Converse All-Star is one of the most popular selling shoes of all time. Chuck, however, was the sole salesman behind the popularization. By 1932, more than 750 million pairs of these gym shoes had been sold. It was then that the iconic signature and patch were added to the ankle, making it the shoe that we know today. Now the once most recognizable and worn basketball shoe in the country is a pop culture icon worn by celebrities, rockers, hipsters, dads, moms, students, and even little kids. Even right here, in Columbus, people wear them. But one Columbian thought it was time to take a step further. It was time to pay homage to the man and the town where it all began.
Came up with the idea of Wear Your Chucks Day in Columbus, and somebody said you should have that when the crosstown rivalry high school basketball games take place. So I thought that was a good idea, and that's what we were planning. And then I thought there might be an off chance that Converse might be compelled by our story and what we were planning to do, and might even work with us to design a custom Chuck Taylor version just for Columbus. And I cold called the product line manager at Converse in Massachusetts, and Converse has been incredibly supportive.
The project was handed over to Indiana University and its fashion design department. Deborah Christensen is the senior lecturer in the Department of Apparel Merchandising and Interior Design.
My initial reactions to the project were excitement. I couldn't believe that the mayor had made contact with Columbus, that we were going to be working with a product developer who really felt like there were a lot of directions we could go and was very supportive, answered all our questions. But my initial reaction was just, this is going to be an amazing opportunity for a student to get to work with a brand.
Deborah wanted to extend this opportunity to her talented students. After mulling it over, she landed on a student who one might call a sneakerhead.
After she told me that it was a Converse Chuck Taylor, I was just super stoked. I'm a big sneaker guy. I know the history behind the shoe. Your dad wore it, my dad wore it, everybody's dad wore it. That was the only sneaker that you bought back then. You know, that's all you had. It was $30 for a Chuck Taylor to wear to play basketball, play outside, whatever. So something that iconic, to see my design on it was just, you know, really cool opportunity. I was really excited about it. I had never been approached with an opportunity like this before.
Well, what drove me to pick Connor, again, I had met him in a large introductory lecture course, and in a course like that, it's difficult for people to make themselves known. He immediately made himself known. He came up, he wanted to talk about sneakers, about design. So when someone was connecting the two and asking about students to participate, I also knew that he would respond immediately if I communicated with him, and he did, with immediate sketches, immediate ideas. But you know, I knew before I contacted him, and then after I contacted him, I totally knew he was the right person for the job.
I had a lot of ideas shot down. Obviously, I got a stack of papers this high sitting here of designs that were shot down. But you know, I had patterns and whatnot. I didn't really know what to go with.
We went through a couple different iterations, as any design process goes through. And when he was first faced with this, he immediately researched, like you're supposed, he researched the two schools, because part of this was about the rivalry. And one school's core color is blue and one school's core color is orange. And so he was thinking two totally different designs and came up with some very specialized and I think very interesting designs related to the torch and the bulldog, the icons for the two schools. But when we spoke with Converse and the mayor, they really wanted to simplify and pull back to a very clean graphic that they could just do for all sneakers, but in two colors.
Favorite part of the final design is the fact that, again, we've incorporated the outline of the hard court, the basketball court, and incorporated in it we have Columbus's logo, which is the dancing C, Chuck Taylor's signature, and then the All-Star Star signifies within the key, which is in the shape of Indiana, signifies where Columbus is. So it's something that is truly unique to us, and we're very proud of it.
Mike Bodart is the owner of Hoosier Sporting Goods, a local mom-and-pop retailer that was selected as the only store to sell the shoes. The store has been selling sporting gear and local high school apparel on the same street for more than 70 years.
People knew what was going on when they came in here because we were intentionally had all of our designs laid out, and we tried to get all ages, little kids, boys and girls, all the way up to adults, and just to kind of get a good range of who we were asking. We were planning, you know, I kind of thought 200 or 300, she'd hoped for 500. Converse tells me they called me about a week into it, and just to see how things were going, and by then we'd already hit 1,000.
My stretch goal was 500 pairs, and we were delightfully surprised that we sold more than 4,300 pairs of shoes.
With the design of this new shoe, everything has come full circle. The town where it all began now has a shoe to commemorate it all. But when you really look at those shoes, they're more than just a pair of Chucks. They're more than just shoes. They're part of a great game that put Indiana on the map.